wealth of information that supports explosives in these buildings. And Warren, I'm talking about well before the buildings collapsed, you know.
Well before the buildings collapsed, and starting immediately after the events of that day began. There were continuous reports of explosions from multiple sources: first responders, workers in the building, media personalities. Anybody that you could speak to was speaking about explosions.
For example, this unnamed worker from the World Trade Center being interviewed by Fox that morning. Again, we don't have his name, but I find his quote that we're about to play for you quite compelling, because he's very, very specific about what he's talking about. He's obviously very shaken, very disturbed, as everybody was. But listen to this and see if anything kind of sticks out in your mind.
This morning, I saw the plane coming this way in a spot. It was factory directly to the building.
Was this the first plane or the second plane?
This was the first plane. The second plane, no second plane. It was a bomb. Bombed in the building, not second plane. That was a bomb.
Last word he said, it was a bomb. Bomb, period. Doesn't take, as we just said, an expert in the field to notice something like this. I mean, I guess it's safe to say that we're not exposed to bombs every day, you know.
Well, thankfully, we're not exposed to bombs every day. It's not the kind of thing we should be familiar with, other than Michael Bay films, obviously. But it is the kind of thing that we can recognize. And I believe anybody can recognize the sound of an explosion or bomb over any other type of event. Nobody ever hears a car crash occur and goes, oh my gosh, was that a bomb?
No. It's one of those things that because we're not exposed to it every day, it tends to kind of reach out and kind of grab you. It's rather loud. You might even feel it. Very distinctive. And let me just preface this by saying that we're not including, I kind of passed on William Rodriguez's content for this show because it's so extensive. I know that we'll cover him in greater detail in the future, but I wanted to move into more obscure elements and actualities that that point in the same direction. For example, this was taken from New York City local TV, channel 11 or 13, I believe, because I don't have the video in front of me. But this is a collage of testimony taken from World Trade Center employees Michelle Scott and Eval Sweezer, and here's what they had to say not long after having escaped the World Trade Centers on September 11th, 2001.
We ran down the steps to the lobby. There was no lobby. Everything was torn up. And even the turnstile was burnt and was sticking up, and they just told us to run.
My boss ran out of the office. He said one thing, run. Everybody just ran, and we ran down the stairs. They told us to come back up the stairs, and we were like, come back up the stairs, are you crazy? So we continued down the stairs. We came outside in the lobby. There was no lobby. The lobby was totally gone.
Did you see other people?
There was a woman there with her face blown off, and as we were coming out, we passed the lobby. There was no lobby. So I believe the bomb hit the lobby first.
So again, we have this same kind of thing coming from these people. We have reports of explosions, not up high, mind you, but down below, because Warren, the lobby is effectively gone, according to them.
Oh, the video is startling. I mean, the lobby was completely blown out, supposedly by an explosion that took place 800 feet away, vertically. And of course, the story is that it was jet fuel that blew the windows out. Although I can't imagine an 800-foot trail of jet fuel leading down to the lobby with enough power to blow the entire lobby apart.
And that's what I find so odd, and people have actually told me this before, that the jet fuel traveled down the elevator shafts. They're not even aware of the fact that there wasn't one elevator shaft going from the ground all the way to the top. They moved. You know, you went up so many floors and then the elevator scooted over. This was done on purpose. So for that to have happened, you would have had to have had this column of burning jet fuel scooting from the side and changing in all kinds of directions to be able to do that. And then, as you just mentioned, the question begs, would it have enough force to make it from, well, just take tower number 1, the 80th floor, all the way down to the lobby and still be able to, well, I guess in the basement, if we're talking about the testimony from William Rodriguez, this is going all the way below ground level, which I think is ludicrous.
Well, I would go further than just ludicrous. I would say it's completely idiotic to assume that, because what you would have to imagine then is that this explosion is literally blowing the elevators apart on every floor that it passes all the way down, with enough force still to do the damage in the lobby that we saw. Now keep in mind that lobby explosion blew out of the elevators, supposedly, and blew all those windows out, but it didn't do any other damage in the lobby. There was some marble siding that was knocked loose, there were the windows that were blown out, but there was no charring or smoke or fire in the lobby. And to have that much force and not do that much more damage is unreasonable.
Right, right. And, you know, if you don't believe the workers, people who had just escaped this complex amidst the chaos and the fear, the damage, the trauma, then perhaps you put more stock in what firefighters had to say. And this is a clip that basically includes 4 or 5 firemen talking to someone in the media. Chances are you've probably already seen this, but now here's firefighters describing what they were going through while literally trying to run away from the first implosion at the World Trade Centers.
We made it outside. We made it about a block.
We made it at least 2 blocks, and we started running. Floor by floor, instead of popping out.
It was if they had detonated.
Yeah,
detonated. They were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
All the way down. I was watching it and running.
Now, I find most compelling about that quote the one firefighter who uses the boom, 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 boom. They were there. They were looking back at it as they ran, as you just heard. And now, again, firefighters, not exactly explosive experts, I assume, but now we're getting a lot closer to the field of knowledge that would lend more credibility. Whereas, you know, an office secretary, well, maybe she could be off. A firefighter, though, I'm not quite so sure. I'm not quite so sure about that. This is a clip that offers some tremendous audio of exactly what they were talking about. Now, this clip is taken, which includes 3 firefighters standing on a street corner. They had found a payphone. The first building has collapsed because there's powder everywhere. Looks like they had removed some of their gear, and they're literally trying to call loved ones to assure mothers, wives, so forth, that they're in fact okay. And this is a bit of a raw clip, but in addition to their talking amongst one another about who they need to call, who's going to call next, listen to what else is heard in this transmission.
Yeah, here's one of the guys who can tell you I'm okay, all right? Here, hold on. You want to call your mother or something?
You gotta get back. You know that. You gotta get back.
All right? Don't worry about me. You need to make calls right now. All right.
Now, in the video clip of that actuality, you can see all of them duck. And obviously, they ducked for a reason. I mean, you just heard it. And I guess I would estimate that this was taken some 2 to 4 blocks away, because they were clearly in the epicenter of what had happened. They had obviously survived, but one collapse had taken place, so we still have another tower still standing, and we know the fate of the second tower that collapsed, or both towers. I mean, they both obviously came down. But what we're hearing, Warren, is details and facts coming from people who were there. They were inside. These people worked there on a daily basis, and when you work somewhere every day, you know your surroundings almost as well as you know your own house. And when something that unusual is going on, I mean, you would have to agree that there's some credibility to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the Naudet Brothers film, the firehouse that they were working with was the closest one to the World Trade Centers, and they said that the particular fire brigade would respond to a call at the World Trade Center sometimes 3 times a day. I mean, even these firefighters who didn't work there were extremely familiar with that facility.
Right, right. Now, when we take a look at some of the media reports that day, things that you heard one time and one time only, and I know that having